Okay, so we continue. As I was telling you before, you be using mockups, CAD designs, and voila, you have the architects have the buildings. But before this big building, they have to go and raise money. And this is a video I'm going to show you in which an architect explains how they get it done. Good.
The idea of multiple models is one that shows up often in conversations with designers. And it was most stark with Frank Gehry, but one sees it in lots of other places. The basic idea is to have many models of the phenomenon that interests you, if it's a building, to have them at different scales, different kinds of models, models that feature various aspects of the thing under consideration. Now, in management, that has immediate and obvious applicability. If you accept that there aren't simple solutions to most of the problems that are really of interest to us in managing enterprises, then probably these are complex phenomenon, and therefore multiple views of them will be useful. It's very tempting to say, if we could just get the right model. It's far more illuminating to look at a variety of models.
First of all, I think we as faculty didn't appreciate the process that they go through of continuous refinement and continuous evolution and continuous change. So we would tend to see a model and think this was the design, as opposed to having the sensibility of being able to say, this is a direction in which this design is going to go, and we can only sort of fantasize what they're going to be able to do with this direction.
I tell clients when I start that we're going to be in a liquid state for a lot of the time. In other words, information gathering, agonizing about program adjacencies, land use, materials, bureaucracies that we have to deal with. And during that period, we make a lot of study models, and some of them are pretty scary looking. When you show them to a client, they get pretty nervous. I call them Shrek models. It's a Yiddish expression for making people nervous. I do that so they can follow the trajectory of my thinking, but it's not predictable. It's opportunistic. I push something here, and then I see something, and then I take that and I go. So I think of it as an opportunistic kind of process that evolves with the inputs that I'm getting from the client and the world around.
The other thing is that if you freeze to an idea too quickly, you fall in love with it. If you refine it too quickly, you become attached to it, and it becomes very hard to keep exploring, to keep looking for better. So the crudeness of the early models in particular is very deliberate, and if we're forced to, at a particular stage, to make a refined presentation model before the design has fully matured, it's a very painful process, because then you quickly try to destroy that image as soon as you've done it, so that you keep everything a little bit out of focus. That leaves possibilities always open, and it keeps you from bonding to the idea so much that you can't move on. It's a good lesson for business school because it says you don't know for sure. You think you know, but you don't know for sure. As an entrepreneur, you have to be comfortable with that kind of state of change, with newness, with the sort of adventure of it all, or I don't think you'll succeed.
Mm-hmm. So this is Alan, one of the authors of the Business Model Canvas book. I'm gonna show you the case study in today's class as well. But prototyping is not about making a refined picture of your first idea. It is about exploring alternatives. And that's in the context of this methodology. You're about to explore alternatives of your business model. yes, you're gonna be building not only one business model canvas, but many until you get to the right one. And as this Jim say, if you freeze to an idea too quickly, you fall in love with it. So be careful. If you refine it too quickly, you become attached to it. And remember what this architect say in the video, you know, the process evolves with the input of your clients. That's how architects work. But they have to like get the input and make the changes in the architect design or in the kind of mini version of the design, not when they are building this Among Us building, because it would be very expensive. And remember, if you refine it too quickly, you become attached to it. So a case study of the business model generation. This book that we are following is the business model canvas. The whole movement now is called the business model generation. And it started as you started today. You know, it was like these guys met and they said, let's write a book. And then while they were talking about this whole canvas, they thought it's going to be the next bestseller. So they finished writing it, kind of like they went into the mailbox, and then they found that these books actually would never sell. Because it's a lot of things kind of that need to happen, printing, marketing, taking the books to stores. So it's a lot when you want to write a book. So in the minds of writers, sometimes the future is it looks very bad. Especially when they were writing this book, it was back in 2008. So we have a question here. How many new management books have been published in 2008? Just give me a number. What are your thoughts?
150.
150? Okay.
A million.
11,000 books. It's management books.
Somewhere in between.
Yes, it's a lot. And then these guys are writing the business model canvas book, and they're thinking like, oh my gosh, how are we gonna make this happen? So what to do, right? So when you find yourself building a product in a very competitive space, like these guys in the book industry, well, you cannot be thinking in like, oh my gosh, we're gonna fail, because there are 11,000 management books published this year. So what you will do is just change the product. And what we mean about changing the product is changing the way you're going to deliver this book to the masses. So here is Alan again with the book. This is actually the minimum viable product of the business model canvas book. That's Alan doing all the sketches on the whiteboard. See all the little signs, concepts, canvas, patterns, designs, strategy. They have a bunch of like versions of the book. Many things were going on like you are feeling today. And the question they have with this actually was one of their hypotheses: would a big publishing house have taken on us with this book? That was kind of the hypothesis. They wanted to know if these publishers would take this book. And the worst thing is they didn't have any name. They just have this book and they were creating this. No name, of course. The publishers say no. So we don't want your book. So they decided to change their business model. So they follow their own methodology and they create the the business model canvas. So 8 model prototypes. They are post-its, color coding, what's the customer discovery, all this methodology that you have done, right? Then they decide to create a prototype in which they design the elements of this book, the 9 building blocks, and then they continue thinking, how can we get this book successful? So one of the things they discover is that they needed to co-design, like, and self-publish. So when we mention about co-design, they invite many business writers to be part of the community. So they create the Business Model Innovation Hub. Remember when I'll tell you, create a meetup, do a private LinkedIn group, kind of put your thoughts out there, and kind of have people to comment, have people kind of give you feedback. What is it that they're looking for? In this case, when they create the Business Model Innovation Hub, they were able to have 405 members. All these business people from all over the world start giving them a bunch of ideas. Yes, there are many management books out there, but what if you do this? What if you do that? What if everybody's talking? And remember, when somebody asks you, please give me an advice, share your expertise, because we're passionate, we start talking, and these people were writing stuff. So what these guys did was extract all this amazing knowledge, start putting together things to continue getting the feedback from the community. They not only did this Innovation Hub portal, they also did forums. Like they invite people to participate in conferences. At the end, they did 8 prototypes of this book. They have 407 co-authors, 1,360 comments, 77 forums, and 137,757 visits to that site I showed you. So that was huge. That happened before this book was launched. So how to know if the business model will be successful? Then test your business model. So that's what they did. Finally, they decide to stop and then say, let's test. And then they put it to the market, of course. They didn't know how much to charge, so they start about 24, 35, 85, 200. These are actually the names of the co-authors that participate in this book. So this is kind of cool, you know. These co-authors actually came to the US to the forums, and they didn't know they were building this. And actually 470 co-authors that are actually named in this book, in some of these pages, now they're sharing this methodology with their students in different countries. And these co-authors became actually the best influencers. And that's how the business model generation kind of movement started. At the beginning, when they launched the book, they launched it for free. Like pitch inside, because that's sometimes what you need to do, you know, send it free and see what happens. Because the most important thing at this stage of your business is just to put this concept or your business model in front of your end user and get feedback, you know. And sometimes you gotta do it for free. Do it for free. The thing is, you need to collect your customer perception so you can improve what you have. So then they will print their versions. They put it in the bookstores. And of course, the rest is history. The book now has, they have different distribution channels. They put the book in Amazon. This was kind of what they did in Amazon. They listed this is the price, 1949 reviews. You have to do a lot of marketing when it comes to your products. If you're writing a book, this is how you do it. Then they were able to partner with the publisher, with a great publisher, and they were able to start selling this book globally. So of course now the book is everywhere, and it's been written in many different languages. So it's a huge success. And as you know, there is a portal, the Strategizer portal, and guess what? I was certified and now I'm teaching this methodology. So this is an amazing success story on how you use this methodology. Anyway, good. So that's my PowerPoint of today. So now, do you have any questions now about the minimum viable product and building your own prototype?
This may be a
Actually-
silly question, but how long does all this process usually take?
Usually take it depends of the industry. You know, very disruptive technologies, of course, take more time. Like for instance, I have clients that work with the Department of Defense, with NASA. So they're very specific, you know, and they can only like interview like 5, 4 people, sometimes in SpaceX or Space Florida, or very specific. So it takes a long time. Now, service companies is easy because like the company you're building is easy because you can do this questionnaire in Facebook like you're doing. Once you have the mock-ups, you show interview like, I don't know, many 10 or 20 people, and then you build a minimum viable product, something, show it to the masses. And once you start selling now, build the version that is going to help you to collect more money. I could say that, I mean, 6 months to 3-5 years, it depends on the industry. I mean, I have people here that during this class, I mean, 8 weeks, 16 sessions. I mean, they have now this rolling, and now they have signed the first customers during the discovery process. It's up to the industry, the entrepreneur. And sometimes when they were not able to validate this concept, then they just don't do it. Now with this book, actually, with the business model canvas, I think it took them like more than a year to do this, because all these, you know, people working on this, but it's worth it. I mean, that's huge now. It's huge. Same with like Airbnb, all these companies, you know, takes some time. I think it took them like a couple of years to get to now having like to meeting with the third co-founder and changing the website. And now that's how they scale, and they were able to identify the problem they had with the pictures. It's something that you will evolve. You know, one of the things I encourage is build something now and get it in front of the users. Like, cannot be the final version, but it could be a mock-up, or it could be a basic website. It could be a basic service, could be a flyer, it could be what you currently have. You already, many of you already in business, like Erin, Teresa, Josh, and you're already in business doing this. Now it's a different way to show your customers, get more feedback, and what you've been building is something more scalable. Mhm. So now if you don't have the business yet, if you're building something, then build something people want. In the case of Diane and Italo and Marcus, that they're building and portals, or they're building more like a sophisticated business, they have to just think like do mock-ups, you know? Because if they decide to build what they're thinking in building, it's going to take them a lot of time, a lot of code, a lot of thinking, but they have to build what the customers need. That's what is important in this methodology.
I thought the architecture video was very enlightening, especially, you know, the process that they go through, like building the same thing over and over, making modifications and reviewing. This is something that really struck me, because when I started doing the platform a year and a half ago, I was building and refining and getting attached to it. So I mean, just like, it's interesting how you sometimes you get somebody outside of you describing exactly what you went through, and you never heard that anybody saying that before. So I just, I mean, I related a lot to that video. And I was actually talking to Italo prior to this meeting. During the weekend, we had a session on Friday, and with Connie. And during the weekend, I got very creative, and I went on and I developed a quick portal to test my hypothesis for myself, which I do all the time, and I can't control it. And on just 2 days, I made a portal. I tested what I thought, and this morning I told Italo, listen, maybe we can get this page in front of the property managers and offer them to use it for free. I mean, they don't have to pay anything. And we have to do a lot of work ourselves, because we have to drive around communities, taking video and everything. So listen, we give it to them, we'll do the work, you know, and we wait for their feedback. I mean, we got to listen, you know, what they can tell us about it. If they like it, if they don't, if they hate it, if it's not useful, whatever. I mean, we need to get some feedback. We need to validate this.
Nice.
So I was just found it interesting that you were making this comment now, that, you know, to put in front of them. And I just feel this urge to really put this in front of them and have their feedback, because I can't stay in my head any longer. I'm going crazy.
Yes, you have to do.
Hi,
Continue
everyone.
talking about the MVP some Thursday, okay, and what to do.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.